Okay, so our film is finally fully finished. Jack has added the sounds, and I've currently uploaded the video to YouTube and have watched it about a couple of times already. And yeah, I'm just gonna make a second evaluation of this final project, answering the last couple of questions I answered last time, while finally giving my overall thoughts of the final film. So again, the first question is, what was my role on the project? Well, my role was mainly editor on this project, mostly with just the video footage. I got given back the footage we had from filming, and I went onto the audio editing software and put it into the order everything should have been in, while making it have a genuinely nice flow to it. And that was my main role. And I also was there on filming day, helping out a little bit, just giving my thoughts of how things should have looked, and also was just generally there to just help about if I was needed. And I also booked out some equipment that we needed for the filming as well, since our camera operator Erin could not book out the equipment because of something that happened on that day. And so I have booked out the equipment, but everything should be returned by now. So the question is, how do I think I performed in total? Well, before we actually filmed and while we were filming, I felt like I wasn't much of help, because my main role is usually after we film. I'm mostly the crucial part of that with the sound editor. But actually, that's how I felt at the time of it, but actually looking back at it, I think for what role I had, I did help out quite a bit, since I didn't really have to do much, but I did help out with sheets with Mariana, our director, and Erin, our camera operator, with some of them sheets. I also did my own part of research, which should be evidenced on the blog as well, to actually make understanding of the horror genre as well, just like so I can have an understanding what it should look like when I edit. And yeah, I think I've done a very crucial part before and while filming, for what my role is to try to get this film done. And for the actual my main focus of the project with editing, I think I did a fairly decent job. I think I've made the film as slowly as possible as I can, first time working on an editing software like that, since I've only worked with small editing software from like 2007, maybe 2006, so not really professional stuff. But I think I made a good flowing edit of the film. Also looking back at the mute version like now, and with the whole class from me recording yesterday, the film does look like it's a horror being mute as well. So that's what I've changed from looking back at it. It does look like it's a horror, so I think I've done a very good job at making that video edit work. And I also helped a little bit with recording the sounds. Mostly it was just Jack that made the sounds and added the sounds onto the final project, as well as I changed the title, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. And yeah, I generally just recorded the sounds, but I helped a bit with that, so I think I did an okay job helping recording the sounds of Jack, getting a bit of that knowledge as well. Were there any issues we had while making the film? Mostly just the main two issues from my last evaluation. The first big problem was the location at the start. We initially wanted to record next to our building that we learning and be in most of the time. It was these two buildings. I think it was by the company. Looking back at it now, it's Carlisle Key that Mariana works for, and Mariana's dad, works for and helped build up them two buildings, and they're still in the middle of getting built, so we decided not to go with that building. But I kind of made that was a big problem, that we didn't really try and find locations as much as we should, because we ended up just thinking, since it was a house, we could just use like any of our 4 houses. We could have looked at maybe using someone else's house, but if we used like a hotel, it wouldn't really work for the type of film and script it was. And if we used a construction house, there would be very limitations to that. But I think we did get a little bit lazy when we found the house, because we eventually just went with Jack, since it was sort of like a natural house we thought Emily, the character, would live in. So that was one of the issues. The second issue was trying to find a day to actually film. We filmed on 2 separate days, and we initially thought that day would just to film everything. So it was a bit of a struggle just finding that one day. And then when we found out we needed to record another day, we tried booking a next day for it, and that got changed to like 2 days afterwards, because people in our group work like myself, but luckily I had 2 weeks off work while we were making this project. And our camera operator, Erin, really struggled trying to find a separate day from her shifts at work, which isn't entirely her fault, because everyone has their own spare lives as well. So that was another issue, trying to find a day, but luckily we did find 2 days to film. And I would say our third one was definitely with the sound editing, because we left it to the Friday and we thought we could get it done on the Friday. And when we eventually couldn't finish it off, we were sort of like too late, because Jack doesn't have any editing software at home to add them sounds onto, as well as using my hard drive, which I luckily gave him to finish the sounds off from today of me recording, to get the film actually finally finished. So we were late handing in the project, because we thought we could squeeze it in that one day with sound editing, but we have luckily got it done instead of leaving it even longer after the deadline. So there would be all the issues we had. And actually thinking back now, I mentioned this in the last one, but we did have a dog in the original script as well, which is one of Jack's dogs we used, and we actually did film such scenes with the dog. But actually when it came to me editing the dog scenes we used and how we shot them, made it look like it was a double ganger of the character Emily that killed her or took her at the end of the film, which really messed with my head and messed with the rest of the group's head of how we could fix this. And even Paddy, one of our tutors, said it didn't work, and it was like that. So I had to cut the thing to make the film overall work. And yeah, so the dog issue was another one, but luckily that was resolved quickly. And the final question on the actual list is, have I shown the film to anyone else? Last time I did say I shown the film to my parents without the sounds, and I had the same feedback I initially had, where I thought it looked good as a film, but it just didn't work without the sounds at times. And I've luckily managed to show my dad the overall version of it with the sounds on, added by Jack, and he has said that he thinks it's a great stepping stone, since this is our first like sort of short film as students, and he says it's a good job, and there is need to be improvement for the future ahead, which is I could have edited parts differently, we could have shot stuff differently with the coat part, which annoys me very much, because I think that overall runs very long in the film. We could have maybe filmed the dog parts differently, so we could have had that in the script. No offence to some of Jack's editing, but we could have had different sounds, or maybe her with the bed touching it like that, since I am sitting on the bed right now. We could add stuff like that, but overall the film is a good film to him for us being students, and that leaves it to my overall thought of it as well. I think this is a very good film that we have made for being first time students with this type of thing. And yeah, I overall think the film is great. I have like the same type of problems with my dad. Editing could be a lot different, shots at times could be different, and the pattern on the bed. And another shot that overall feedback from the class of the Meat version, and me and my dad think as well, the shot of where we see the outside zooming into the room while Emily's drinking her tea on the couch, is a really good shot and a really good visualization from overall the group. Mostly it came down to Mariana, our director, and Jack, our sound editor, which was in the same role as me, just putting our feed back into the filming, and they sort of made the idea of that shot, so that was a great shot we had in the film. And yeah, I think this film is very good overall. The sounds, especially the scream at the end. The shot at the end was very good in the mute version, but it's even better to me with the added on scream, which Jack recorded with a couple of people in the year 2 of Level 3 Media. That's my overall thoughts on this project and my overall evaluation in total.